Hey G-fans, GojiFan93 here, and well, this is the first review of my Godzilla-thon 2014. Now, just a little bit of disclaimer. One, I am not ripping off James Rolfe. He does not own the Godzilla-themed marathon review thing. He's not the first person to review every Godzilla film, and he's not the last person to review every Godzilla film. It just so happens that he's the most popular, pretty much the most popular person on YouTube, or not just on YouTube, on the internet, so that's probably why, a lot of people thought I was ripping him off, but I'm not, okay? Alright, so, on to the first movie, Godzilla 1954, or, in Japan, Gojira, also in America, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So the Japanese version, 1954, seems so long ago, basically, pretty much, when November comes around, it'll be officially 60 years. But yeah, what can I say about this film that hasn't been said already? I mean, it is one of the most classic masterpieces. I mean, it's just like, the film is still watchable. I mean, it's aged well, especially if you get the Blu-ray Criterion Collection, or any of the DVDs are actually alright. I actually still have a couple VHS tapes of it also, so there's so many different versions you can get of this movie, it's ridiculous. Now, first, I highly recommend watching the Japanese version. The English version obviously cuts some parts up. It kind of mixes some things into it. And I'm not going to talk much about the stories with any of these movies, because I'm really bad at talking about, the summary or the what happens in the film. But what I will say is that the thing I loved about the Japanese version is that it starts out like real time. It's like you're there and you're experiencing everything that's happening to these people as it happens. But the problem in the English version is that it's all basically a flashback, and Raymond Burr, who plays as Steve Martin in the movie, he basically narrates everything for the audience. So there's not really any way to imagine what's going on. But with the Japanese version, I really like how it's just, from the start, stuff starts happening, people are going like, wait, what's going on? Like, why are the boats crashing and all that stuff? Why is the fish not showing up? So all these village people are like starting to freak out, and then it gets into the government. The Japanese government's trying to figure out what's going on, and then Godzilla finally attacks. Actually, his first appearance is on an island, and we get that classic scene where he's hunched over the edge, and he's like, "Hey, I see all of you," and everyone runs away. And of course, you got the classic, girl who falls over and goes, "Ah!" But but then he does his first attack on Tokyo, which is really short. I mean, he comes in, destroys a couple buildings, then he's just like, all right, well, see ya. Actually, and then he takes out a bridge or something like that, which I thought was kind of clever, because then it's like Godzilla's like, well, you people aren't escaping, I'm taking out your bridges. But then he does his second attack, which is more, it's longer, it's more dramatic. He takes out basically all of Japan. Starts out with the famous train scene where the train's coming. The guys are like, oh my god, his foot's right there, smashes him and all that. One scene, though, in particular about that, the last scene, is when there's a mother and her children, and they're kind of hiding in a little bit of a alcove of a building. And the mom, I swear, this scene gets me every time. The mom is saying to her children, she's like, we'll be with your father soon, and it's just like, oh gosh, it's just like really deep right there. Because that's what's so great about this film, is that it's super serious. It's full of metaphors, tones, symbolism, dark stuff like that. This is not your kiddie B-movie stuff. Like, this is a serious film, and that's what I love about it. And also, something that I wanted to bring up that I don't even think I brought up in my last review of this film, is that the thing that I'm really excited about with 2014 that's coming out soon is they're gonna delve deep into Godzilla being like a mythical monster, or we awakened him, or beast. It's kind of like acting as Godzilla's like the Loch Ness monster, and then we shot a nuke at him, and then he grew. But what's interesting is that I like this because it seems like Gareth Edwards remembered what in this first film, when they were trying to figure out what was going on with the islanders, that this old man starts saying that, well, yeah, Godzilla, this ancient monster, like he's the only guy who knew the Godzilla name. Like he came up to like a bunch of villagers like, yeah, this is the work of Godzilla, and everyone's like, who? Like what? And he's just saying, it's like, yeah, it's this ancient beast that whenever I guess what he was saying is that whenever the fish ran out or something like that, whenever they weren't getting as much food, they would actually sacrifice a girl and send her off into sea to be a sacrifice to Godzilla, which it's awesome because it brings so much lore. It brings like rich storytelling to this basic storyline, I guess I would say. But yeah, I mean, so the story's great. The characters are magnificent in this film. I mean, you got Dr. Serizawa, the main doctor who makes the oxygen destroyer that eventually does kill Godzilla. Then you got Ogata, I believe is his name. He's pretty much the main protagonist, which is played by Akira Takarada, which is awesome. How he's going to be a cameo in the new Godzilla film. And then the female actress, for some reason her name is completely gone from my memory. I thought I had it, but then I just forgot. This is what happens when you do unscripted reviews. So, but you guys can say in the comments below. Basically, between her, Ogata, and Dr. Serizawa, there is this love triangle that goes on between them during the movie. And what's funny is that like she says to she was first going to marry Dr. Serizawa, but then she found Ogata, and then she's like, okay, well, how are we going to break it to Dr. Serizawa? And then it's like really dramatic stuff. Yeah, and then Dr. Serizawa ends up showing the girl his experiments, tell her, don't better not tell anyone else. And then all of a sudden she's like, I won't tell anyone else. And then like not even a few scenes later, she's like, this is what Dr. Serizawa's doing. We need him so we can kill Godzilla, And so he gets all pissed off at her. And then we get that last scene, which is the underwater scene where Dr. Serizawa and Ogata go underwater to place the oxygen destroyer to finally kill Godzilla. And I mean, that whole scene is just so, the music, the camera angles, just everything about that scene is just so solemn and sad. It really brings the whole movie to a different kind of mood. It's really just a very kind of depressing, I would actually say. But yeah, I mean, the music is really good. Obviously, got Akira Fukube's work. I mean, he's just a master at monster films when it comes to the soundtracks. Then with I guess the effects of the film are actually really good for the 50s. Obviously, they were actually considering doing stop motion, but they, like King Kong did, but then they said, like, well, it'd probably cost too much. So they decided to put a man in a rubber suit. And there we go. So, yeah, basically this movie is just fantastic, a masterpiece, and also, I want to talk about a little bit of the future reviews that I'm going to do with this Godzilla-thon. Because I'm doing these unscripted, I will forget a few main points, I'll stutter and all that stuff, but, that's just how I do it. I just finished watching the movie, and that was actually different from my last reviews. My last reviews, I just reviewed them from the top of my head, but this time I'm actually going to rewatch all of them and then do a review right after so that I can be a little bit more fresh on the whole movie. But I still will miss a couple points. I'll still maybe make some errors, but, hey, we're only human and I don't feel like writing a script, so call me lazy or whatever, but that's how I like to do my videos. But, so, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for the first Godzilla movie for Godzilla-thon 2014. Yeah, I doubt any of you have not seen this, but for the people who are watching who have not seen this first film, my gosh, you have got to go see it, especially before this new movie comes out. You got to go see it so you can, understand what's going on pretty much. So, yeah, that's what I got. This movie is awesome, 2 thumbs up, great, amazing. So thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for tomorrow's Godzilla raids again, and I'll see you guys till then. Stay big, G fans.